Welcome back. In this tutorial, I'll teach you about a module inside Niagara that, if you were a beginner, you probably didn't know about. It's gonna help us create more complex VFX by inheriting other emitters' properties within our system. So stay and let's have fun together creating some really cool shapes. Alright, so after that great introduction, we should begin. To start, I already have this cone here, and the way I created it was just modeling, clicked on cone, left click, and just accept it. I really didn't try to modify its shape to make it more interesting. It's just for an example, so if you want a cone like that, you can get it. Maybe you have a better cone. Maybe you have a hidden triangle there that has an amazing shape. Or maybe you have rocks. Uh, it's okay. Don't mind it. So right click, Niagara system, new emitter, well, new system, I'm sorry. And we will go for the trustworthy old simple sprite burst. Click on the plus and finish. I'm gonna be typing ns example because otherwise I will take years trying to figure out a name. If you've watched my previous videos, you know, and you probably left when I took too long trying to name something. So this time it didn't happen, so please stay. All right. So we will have two emitters. The first one is going to be a set of behaviors that the second emitter can inherit and then can modify upon, right? What we should focus is on location, on age, and things like that. So, well, let's just try it out. If it doesn't make too much sense, do not worry. We will go little by little and it's going to go smooth, I promise. So, okay. Keeping in mind that this is gonna be behavior, I want to make a ring. So first, what about we spawn 30 of these, and we go on shape, we go on ring, well, I'm sorry, ring here, yeah, something like that, probably smaller, you know? Yeah, like a little bit tighter. We really do not care, again, about the size of these monstrous particles. We just want the velocity, the location of them through time, if that makes sense. Okay, so what else do we want? We want some kind of velocity. So velocity, nothing on update, just something initial. Let's just do from point, and let's increase the velocity just a little bit. Just a little bit. Something like this. I guess it's okay. We could add some drag, but okay, that's fine. Now let's rename it. And let's say this is gonna be ring source. See, I've improved a lot. All right, so at emitter, we want another good old trustworthy simple sprite burst. And this one, we're gonna be making it pretty. So we probably want 100 to spawn. And the shape, so we can see it clearly. What about cylinder and something that has a very small radius? Yeah, like that. Particle living 2 seconds, I guess it's gonna be fine. Let's change the color. I want 10 on red, something really emissive. We could use a better material, but this one is gonna have to do for now, you know? For the size, let's go non-uniform. Oh, sorry, random uniform. We can do a 0.4 and 1. Yeah, we have like a stick. Or well, the shape, maybe. And lastly, let's add some kind of force. Maybe the good old, well, not old, but the good curl noise effect, which makes things look so nice. Okay, so we have this behavior for this one. So now we want this speed, this location to be translated onto this. Well, and obviously replicated, right, for each of these sprites. So what we need to do is go here on emitter update, click on the plus and type other, or you can type any of these other keywords and select this one, spawn particles from other emitter. it's gonna say there is an error, but no issue, you can click just fix issue because you need two of these, one here and another one on particle spawn. Just like that. Okay, all nice. Now it asks us for the emitter name, which is ring source, right? You can just type R and then autofill and click it and enter. So now what happens? You can already see it has a different shape, right? It's following the shape of this source. And in here we can modify the spawn rate and, you know, whatever else. We can make some really crazy things here. We can leave it at 5. Was it at 5? It was probably at 10, wasn't it? Okay. If we stop isolating, we can see that, well, we kinda cannot see the effect, right? You don't really need to be, you don't really need this one to be visible, so you can just uncheck this, or just put it an empty material, if you want. And that's it. It's working. We can add a lot of really complex behaviors here, or simple ones, and then make them complex in here because we are combining different locations with age and velocity, and we don't need to go on to scratch pads or maybe blueprints. You know, we can save a lot of time doing this. And I have a lot of other examples to show you. So we're done with this, right? Maybe your next example, I would like to make more with sprites, but maybe after that, you've seen the classical ice mage that just spawns spikes on the floor or around her when she's really angry. It's just so cliche, but it looks so nice. So, and well, maybe if you were watching the videos of these VFX, you were wondering, wow, so how exactly are those made? Like, how can I spawn these spikes on the floor progressively and things like that? I know I wondered a lot of those stuff when I was just learning. But why am I talking about this one? Let's go on to the next example. For example, another, well, I already said for example, but we could also just uncheck this and go to the next one. A new emitter, sprite burst. We're gonna be naming this sign source. And in here, we're gonna be playing with a rotate around point, which is a really fun module. So let's spawn count 10. And on particle update, we should just type, oh, rotate around point. There you go. I had a glitch in the matrix for a few seconds. Okay. So how exactly do we make this work? Because we are spawning 10, but we do not see 10 here. And if we go on shape location, we still cannot see 10. I mean, I'm sure that they're all on the same spot, but they are not spread around as if we didn't use rotate around point. So how do we solve that? You want to erase this? So we don't want to put the shape in here, we want to put it inside here. And first of all, what we need to do is return the particle's normalized execution index from 0 to 1. This is gonna help us spread this particle around a point. So we can just type here and type normalized. And we can see that, well, it is not working just yet, but that's because we don't have a radius here. And there you go, they are all spreaded. If we didn't do this on the rotation phase, and actually, if you start moving it, you can see how the particle moves, right? So if we normalize it, we just spread it around evenly. Okay, fine. So, oh, I typed it wrong. Return normalize. There we go. So now we have them spreaded. If we keep adding, it's gonna keep spreading evenly, which is great. And what if we just increase some things like rotation rate? Sure. I mean, one thing that comes to mind is maybe we have this behavior and then we have like a pentagram spawning, and then these sparks you spin. Obviously you don't see this, but you see a group of sparks spinning in those directions, right? And well, that will be cool. We have no pentagram right now, but that will be a cool idea, you know? And that will be simple. We could do that, but it will be almost the same as doing this. I mean, it won't be that much different because the only thing that we're changing is this rotate around point, right? So let's do something more fun. Instead of this static radius, probably I want some kind of animated mathematical equation. What if we add a cosine or a sine? Let's add a cosine. And okay, so how is this working? Can you see something here? No, we cannot see. So let's increase the period. And then if we increase the scale and the bias, we are gonna see how it starts behaving in a wave. Slowly, bias 2. And you can see how it goes in and out, right? If we just keep increasing this. Oh no, that's too much. That's still too much. I'm sorry. There we go. So, well, you can check a little bit more complex behaviors from where we can spawn things from, right? Let's just enable our simple burst again. And let's say that now we want a sine source. So how does that look exactly? So the issue with this is that it is spawning, or well, moving way too fast. Either spawning too little or moving too fast. So we can solve that definitely. We can just increase this. And we can already see some really cool patterns going around. We can make things spin around too. So what if we put this on the map? Let's drag this and put it here. So exactly what is going on, because our effect is here, but it's spawning on the side. And actually, let's make this be infinite. Behavior infinite. Yeah, so it is spawning on the middle. The issue with rotate around the point is that, well, it's gonna be rotating around 0, 0, 0 on your map. So there are a couple of ways to solve this. And if we go, this is our source. This has the rotate around point. We cannot modify it here, remember? If we go here, you can see here, set particle position. If you uncheck it, you can see that your particle is back to where you placed it, but it's not rotating anymore. And again, this can be solved through a lot of means, but the simplest one is just to go here on properties and check local space. And now you have your things spawning on your emitter. Well, on your system, sorry. Okay. Enough isolation. How is this looking? Okay, hold on. Oh, fun enough. So now let's make something a little bit more cooler, which is that ice thing I told you. And that should be our last example, because you can already see that there are so many fun ways to make this work. Okay. Now, for the last mesh example, besides showing you that mesh thing, I wanted to go slightly more in-depth in the options of sample particles from other emitter. Because it's okay if you're a little bit lost on that. We can go a little bit over that. So I want this ring source, the very first one that we made, and I want to create another simple sprite burst. And I'm not copying the ones on top because sometimes I've had errors by copying them, and then I don't know what's wrong with my emitter, and the solution was just restarting Unreal. And I don't want that to happen right now. So we don't want it to be a sprite renderer. We erase it. We click on plus. We want a mesh renderer. Expand here. And we want finally our cone. Okay, it's perhaps a little bit too big. So we will modify it a little bit. Oh, and by the way, if your cone, well, as we are working on, looks a little bit weird, this cone has a material, which is really simple. It's just pip and pip. That way it can fade in and out on Niagara, right? Instead of just disappearing and appearing. Just in case. Maybe it happens to you and you wonder why. That's okay. All right. So this first I want to set this to random non-uniform. Yeah, that's fine. I want to set the basic size. So first of all, this should be 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. I just want it to vary on the height, I believe. So this 0.3 and 0.5 maybe. Is this size fine enough? Maybe a little bit too big. Okay, so 0.1, 0.3. There we go. And okay, yeah, maybe some variation here too. All right, so as it spawns, it can vary. Great. Now, obviously, remember that I'm just modifying the behavior that this part in particular is going to have, right? Nothing about this. So let's do a scale mesh by size. We should probably have done some scale sprite by speed here, but oh well. So scale mesh by size, and I want to do it through time. So that's a curve. We type curve and press enter. And in here, oh, I'm not sure if I went too fast in here. Oh yeah, this is random. Okay, never mind. All right, so in here, I isolate X and Y. At time 0, I want this to be 0.1, so really small. And when it ends, well, the ending, I don't want it to be 1, but 0.1, and it ends on 1. All right. Now we modify, well, these are the same, right? Yeah, they're the same. We modify C now. It spawns as 0.1, and when it dies at 0.12, should be 1, or no, 1.2. So if we press spacebar here on the viewport, we can kind of test it, and that's looking better. Although sometimes it gets a little bit too funky here, but I mean, for the example, it's fine. And that's because we set up this difference here. But okay, so now we have this. Let's try and link it to the behavior now. So plus and other spawn emitters from other, well, spawn particles from other emitter, fix issue, and we type ring source, enter. All right, and that's the classical AOE spike VFX. And what you could also do will be to spawn them from small to big, you know, and make it look cooler. Well, that's how I think would look the best, right? Otherwise, they would get in the way of your hero. But anyways, let's check some options here. So in here you have some constraints. So it doesn't spawn if something happens. Well, this is, you know, fine for now. In here you can add more, well, you can change the position. Basically, for every single one of these options, that are simple options, you know, like lifetime or color or size. You can either leave them on disabled, so there is no change, or you can actually inherit them and, well, you know, you can add them. You know, instead of adding velocity here, you can just press add and just add to the velocity that it's already going on this emitter. You know, so really that's basically it. I mean, if you want to make it a little bit more natural, you instead of just putting speed here, you just add the current speed, you know, or just overwrite it. You can control everything here. Well, the most important things, right? Like color, the lifetime, you know, change things with the sprite. This is really useful too, especially if, for example, you're spawning like fireworks or something like that. Maybe you throw a spark and that spark explodes and more sparks come. You can change the phasing and the alignment. That would be really useful too. I know I said that this was the last example, but we have one more. And it's just something silly and fun. I think it actually looks quite good. But I want to disable both of these. And I want to copy our sign source so we don't do all the work again. Although it wasn't much work, but anyway. Okay, and I probably just 0.2 to make it more even. I don't want a cosine, I just want a sine this time. And this just changes to 50 and 50. Just something really simple. Just so it so we can look at it a little bit better, I want to change how the size of this. This size is just fine. I want to spawn less 5, 7 maybe. And lastly, this should leave a little bit less time. Okay. So now I want a mesh again, and I just want this mesh to spawn when these dots are spawning together. So we have some really cool looking stalagmite effect. I want to copy our old mesh so we don't configure it all over again with the mesh size and everything. We enable it, and let's see what we can modify here to make it a little bit more fit for this effect. I think that the mesh scale is just fine, although I don't want this anymore. Yeah, I don't enjoy that. And I want to update the mesh orientation, and this is just to give it random. This is just to give it a little bit more like tilt, something that makes it differentiated when it spawns. And I know that we cannot see it right now. Why can't we see it right? Oh, because we are getting this. Okay, we need to change it. Sign, it's sign 001. Okay, great. We press enter. Okay, they go crazy because of the orientation. We don't want to change the rotation rate. We just want to change the position. Okay, and yeah, I got confused there. You just want to change the position, and this up direction, we do want to modify it. Here it is random. Okay, we type random, and I want minus 0.1 here, minus 0.1 here, and 0.1, 0.1, and here it's just 1 and 1. This way, they only tilt left and right a little bit, you know, each one, and they look a little bit different. You could do it a little bit more. I mean, it's up to you at the end to test and have fun with this. Although it may be a little bit too much. Okay, sure. This forms a cool star shape of stalagmites, but this wasn't really what we were looking for. So what I want to do is just to spawn it once these lines are getting in. And I don't want to modify the cosine. So let's just go on emitter state. I want to go on loop delay. and maybe just 0.8. Okay, but it's leaving too much, I think. Yeah, I don't want the coming back on it. So let's see here and here. It just leaves one. Oh, it's repeating. That's why it's okay. The duration one. Like that. Huh. And just like that, you can create so many cool shapes and honestly, so many cool effects. Imagine that they are just swords just crashing on the ground. That could be extremely fun too. And this way you can modify its location without making an incredibly big system, you know? So, well, I hope that it was useful and that it was easy to follow. So please just let me know if you liked it. Let me know if I should continue doing these model videos or maybe just switch to complete effects. So yeah, I hope you have a great time. I'll see you on the next tutorial.